The NCAA Swimming and Diving Championships is one of the fastest meets in the world. Bottom line, point blank, period, end of discussion. It is one of the fastest meets in the world. So when the title of a video that is about that event, it has some combination of swimmer intentionally swims slow in the title. I haven't actually landed on a final video title yet, but I'm sure it was amazing. It's confusing, it's weird, it doesn't make total sense, but it is 100% true. At least I'm 99.99% sure that it's 100% true. Do that math and then get back to me. To understand why a situation like this would happen, where a swimmer who's one of the fastest swimmers in the world would intentionally swim slow in a championship final, we need to better understand and lay out the groundwork of how an NCAA championship swim meet is scored. Qualifying for NCAAs is really too weird and confusing to understand for even some of the most diehard fans of the sport, so we'll just generalize it out to, in each individual event, you take the top 30 times from the regular season and you're invited to the meet. So 50 freestyle, top 30 times. 100 freestyle, top 30 times. We'll leave it at that. That's as close as you need to get to understand how you get invited to the meet. Once you've made the meet, we have 4 days of swimming. The first day is finals only. It's just 2 relays, which are only timed finals, which means you swim as fast as you can. Whatever place you get after that is all said and done, no matter what heat you're in. They rank you and they score you based on that. After that, we have 3 full days of swimming where we have preliminaries and final sessions for each day. Preliminaries meaning everybody swims, and regardless of what heat you swim in, all of those times are ranked kind of like a time final, but they take the top 8 times, and then at night you swim in the A final, and then times 9 through 16 in the ranking, you swim in the B final. So top 8 in the A final, championship final, 9 through 16 in the B final or the consolation final. In the context of this situation, it's important to understand that if you are in the B final, no matter how fast you swim,
very fast,
you could swim the fastest time in history, you cannot score more than 9th place points. In the A final, inversely, you cannot score worse than 8th place points as long as you do not get DQ'd. All you have to do is finish the race within the constructs of the rule set established by NCAA swimming. That was a very formal and weird way to say that, but bear with me. You cannot score in the B final. You cannot score worse than 8. So to quickly recap the scoring before we get into the meat and potatoes of this situation, wow, I got real country on y'all for a second. In the A final, 20 points for first, 17 second, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, and 11 points all the way down to 8th, respectively. And in the B final, you get 9 points for getting quote-unquote first in that final, but actually 9th overall. 10th will get you 7 points, and then 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, all the way down to 16th. So why still would someone swim intentionally slow in a championship final at a meet of this caliber? Well, at NCAAs, a swimmer can only swim 3 individual events. It's a 4-day meet, with the first day being only relays, which don't count towards your total of individual events, but more often than not, you see swimmers that qualify for multiple events spread those events out over the course of 3 days. Sometimes, however, you'll see an athlete want to try and do what is called a double, as we call it, or swim 2 events in 1 day. You don't normally see this on the first day of individual racing, but you do sometimes see it on the second day, where both the 100 back and 100 fly are offered on the same day of the meet. Enter Kasper Stakowski of NC State and Brendan Burns of Indiana. Both of these swimmers entered the 100 butterfly and the 100 backstroke at NCAAs, and both of these swimmers made finals. Which finals did they make, though? Brendan Burns qualified 10th and into the B final of the 100 butterfly with a 44.79, while Kasper Stakowski of NC State took the 8th place spot with a 44.65, just about a 1/10 of a second between 10th place and 8th place. Later in that same prelim session, Brendan Burns qualified 3rd in the 100 backstroke prelims with a 44.28, while Stakowski qualified 2nd in that same event after prelims with a 44.02. So 2 A finals for Stakowski, a B final, and an A final for Burns. Fast forward to the final session on night 3 of the 2023 Men's NCAA Swimming and Diving Championships, where we'll kick things off with the Men's 100 Butterfly B final. Brendan Burns has a max total of 9 points he could come away with and a minimum of 1 point, while Stakowski awaits with a maximum of 20 points and a minimum of 11. Keep that in mind, in the A final. Burns rips a 44.6 to pick up all 9 possible points in the B final and is off to warm down and get ready for the 100 backstroke later on, while Stakowski still has to swim. So out comes Stakowski along with 2 other NC State swimmers in Aiden Hayes and Nils Korstanji. The rest of the heat is stacked to the gills with some of the best short course butterflyers in the world, like Josh Liendo, Youssef Ramadan, Andrei Minikov, Jordan Crooks, and everyone here is shaking their triceps like all swimmers tend to do for some reason, and we're off. Stakowski gets off the blocks and then opens up a short course 100 butterfly with 3 of the floatiest strokes I've ever seen. Most of the crowd's attention is on the middle of the pool because we've got a pretty sweet duel opening up between Liendo and Ramadan for Virginia Tech and Florida respectively. But down at the bottom of the pool, Stakowski is going to go the slowest time of the entire meet by nearly a second. He finished with a time of 48.27, nearly 4 seconds slower than his prelim time of 44.65, picks up his 11 points, and is off to get ready for the 100 backstroke final. Now, an important note here in the A final is that if Casper had gone a best time in the event by a few tenths of a second, he still would have only gotten 6th place and would have just shuffled around points between himself and other NC State swimmers. So spending more energy with a swimmer who is one of the favorites to win the 100 backstroke for the team to get the exact same amount of points. Are you following along here? The strategy does make sense. It's not just something Casper felt like doing. He wasn't just trying to show his coach that he didn't like swimming butterfly. This strategy 100% makes sense regardless of how you feel about it, regardless of whether or not you think you should be allowed to swim slow. In this situation, I think it was probably the right thing to do. It was strategic. It was fun.
We're having fun!
Fast forward to the 100 backstroke where Stakowski and Burns meet again in the same heat, the same championship final to duke it out one more time. And not only that, they're right next to each other in the race. Minimum points here are 11 and maximum points are 20, with first place taking home 20 and second place taking home 17, a 3-point gap. After the 100 butterfly final, Stakowski had 11, Burns had 9. So we got a little fun game here, seeing if the gamemanship of Stakowski will mean that he comes away with more points than Burns. The race gets underway with Stakowski out to an early lead on the field and flipping the first 50 at 20.97, with Burns back and forth. Through the 75 with 1 length of the pool to go, Stakowski still in the lead, but Burns is charging and then explodes off the last wall, coming up in front of the field and barreling into the wall to get the win in 43.61 over Stakowski in 43.86, picking up 20 points versus Stakowski's 17. When all is said and done from a points perspective, Burns ended up walking away with 29 points while Stakowski ended up with 28 points individually for the session. These are both huge point totals at an NCAA championship meet, especially for one day of competition, but it's fun to see that when everything got shaken out, an A final and a B final beat an A final and an A final. When Stakowski gamed things up and went slow on purpose, it was pretty clearly on purpose in the A final to try and rest up for the championship final of the 100 backstroke. Do I think it was the right thing to do? Do I think it's okay to do? Yeah, absolutely. As long as there's no rule in place that says you can't do something like this. If you're looking at this situation as a coach and you see Nils Korstanji and Aiden Hayes of your own team in that heat, and you say, look, are you going to go 44-0 in a 100 butterfly and get third? And you see how stacked this A final is. I would do the exact same thing. I'd say, yo, float this and let's go dial up for the 100 backstroke and try and win this thing. Prelims win championships. It's this high school and college swimming phrase where when you swim in the morning and you get more bodies into the final, that's how you win the meet. So I don't know. Do you guys think this is a good idea, a bad idea? I don't really know how you would guard against something like this happening. If you liked the video, if you learned something, if you enjoyed it, if it entertained you, slap that like button on the way down to the comment section when you go down there and talk about how interesting this situation was. Subscribe if you want more videos like this to come up on your homepage, and I'll see you in the next one. See ya. I'm doing this intentionally slow. See ya.